for the attainment of any political ambition in the country. How have you navigated party politics? And then I'll come back to you with a question on the money factor.
Party politics, Nigeria is one country that we have parties without ideologies.
Yeah.
And I stand to be corrected, with no apologies to any of the parties. We have parties that have no ideologies whatsoever. But parties tend to go towards what the leaders of the party believe in. Yeah. That's where we are. So when it comes to managing party politics, it's a very dicey one in the sense that maybe I'll set an example of what has happened over the years. It's just happening today, is the topic we're all talking about in Nigeria today, which has to do with the electoral reform. Yeah. I'm sure you're very much aware that the president didn't, he didn't sign it. And the reason he gave was that because there's no time. And in no time, people of the ruling party are coming out to say that he's right to do that, while we in the opposition believe that he's not right to do so. And we are justifiably so. Why? Because they were amongst those that supported us when we were passing this bill. 3 times we have brought different kind of proposals, and we amended the Electoral Act to suit what we believe is best for Nigeria, which is, if nothing, having the card readers. But like yesterday and today, if you look at the papers, those of the APC are saying that the president is right, and that's the problem we have as of today. That is the fundamental issue we have with party politics. It tilts towards what the leader believes in, and how do we do that? We are lucky. For example, I come from a constituency whereby I work hand in gloves with my governor for now, who was a former Speaker, House of Representatives, who knows how to carry people along. And we have these areas where we come together to share ideas, to see what is best for the people. And that is how we've been able to run our own party and the state at large.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. As we start to wind down on this panel, coming back to you, Honorable Ombugadu, you've talked about governance being about solving problems, and I think that's what everyone on this panel has said. Solving problems, being accessible to your people, etc. You're going up against someone from a different party. You're going up against a structure by an incumbent. A number of people here in this room are going up against incumbents or people who will be backed by godfathers. What is your strategy, and what can they take away from this, from you?
Thank you, my esteemed delegate and candidate of various political parties. I have a word for you. Before, you must win the trust of they must trust you. And you must learn to use the little you have sacrificially for your people to trust you and then give you their mandate. I did that, and I told you I started a long time ago, way back in school. And I'm still doing that. If you go through the books of National Assembly, the volume of projects I'm doing currently in the state, you can't find it in the budget of Federal Republic of Nigeria. I have 2 rigs, and I dedicated that rigs to providing water. We, the leaders, are from the supply side. Our people are from the demand side. They have a lot of issues, and they are hoping that we will resolve those issues. And myself, knowing that I'm going to win this election because of the strategy that I've mapped in Nasarawa State, nowhere in the history of Nigeria that a sitting government or a serving government has provided 1,500 boreholes. But I set that as a goal. As at today, we have covered 11 local government out of 13 local government. Every ward, every electoral ward in Nasarawa State has been covered. We have drilled more than 50 boreholes in churches and mosques of the state, in various mosques in the state. That's interfaith. And in all the public places in the state, we've done that. And in all the electoral wards in Nasarawa State, we've done that. And that is why there is no any ward in Nasarawa State that will go without having a project that we're going to commission. That is life impacting project. When you're carrying everybody, when you're considering interfaith, nobody will say this man is biased, that is just addressing the issues that has to do with Christianity or Muslim. So we have an all-inclusive approach, and that is one of the strategy of winning election, and we're doing that, and it's working for us in Nasarawa State. And I want to assure you, with this blueprint or with this strategy, we are winning election in Nasarawa State come 2019, and I'm going to dedicate it to this not too young to run
Thank you
movement.
very much, Honorable Ombugadu. Coming back to you, Honorable Nena, women in politics, there are a lot of things that militate against women. There's harassment, there's bullying, there's the shenanigans within the political parties, but then there's also security, which is a big, big issue. And this is one of the things that deters women from even, going into politics in the first place. How were you able to navigate? And again, because of the crowd that we have here today, for the women, the pockets of women in the room today, what do you have to say to them about security and how they can protect themselves?
Well, thank you so much. In the last elections, in the last two elections, last two general elections, violence was an issue, but it wasn't as much an issue as in these last elections. I believe I have never seen the amount of violence that there was in the last party primaries, and this was inter-party primaries. Now, I think it's tied into the proliferation of small arms and light weapons. The amount of arms in Nigeria has filtered into the political space. And of course, there's so many people, unemployment and so on and so forth. So it's very easy for you to have access to the arms as well as access to the people who are willing to use the arms. Now, what have I done in the past? In the past, what we did was that as soon as you were elected, you introduced yourself to the formal and informal security apparatus. You built walls around yourself. You had people who believed in you, who were supporters, and who would go with you to the rallies. But then now you're coming up against guns, and it's a totally different kettle of fish. I believe that for women, and I think, again, because of the amount of violence that has been in this last elections, would also be largely responsible for the smaller number of women that you find in the political space. Now, what was I able to do in the past? I could tell you what I was able to do, but this time around, it did protect me, and because there were as many guns in my elections as well. So I'm also a victim, and I'm saying that it would take a lot, the security agencies, for us to have the strong political will to come up against the amount of guns, the violence in the society, not to look away. And again, my colleague, Honorable Abdul Samad, spoke about the electoral bill. Yeah. Part of what was in it was a deterrent to violence in these elections. Now, without that, it means that there's no disincentive for that kind of violence. And so we have a political space that is going to be fraught with a lot of violence, with no repercussions. And so, unfortunately, from this stage, I say to you that this is an opportunity for all of us to chant and speak about the Electoral Act, because for women in particular, if we do not stand up and speak about the disincentives for violence in the political spaces, I am sorry that you may only be candidates and not actually win the elections at the end of the day, because there's absolutely no disincentive for the use of firearms and the use of violence in the political space. For me, I believe that my takeaway and your takeaway as young people, and especially the women who want to run, we should also, aside from being the youth in politics, we should also stand up and insist that the Electoral Act be signed as soon as possible, because it protects you and I from the violence that is definitely going to be brought in the political space, because there's no disincentive, and that's why we pass laws. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. No, you can keep it. Coming back to you, Honorable Francesca, again to the thing about age, I think you have proved more than anyone else that age is nothing but a number.